Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another Spooky Sunday episode of The Horror Within Me. I am your host, Eric, and this week is an extremely special week because it is my first guest first celebrity guest, Amelia Kinkade from Night of the Demons. Angela herself is here. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
I'm so thrilled to be here. And we had a couple of little snafus getting online because I said, even satellites are scared to fly over Whole House. I don't get the best internet signal in Whole House because I'm an ancient demon and I'm powered by something so superior to this Muggle technology that the technology just freaks out. And now I'm hearing that it freaks out on you too.
Yeah, I think I'm also a demon from Whole House. They just didn't tell me about it.
Oh,
I'm a huge fan of not just your character, but like you in general and all the work that you do. So I want to get into not just Night of the Demons. This is a horror podcast, so we will talk Night of the Demons, but I also really want to talk about all the important work you do with animals because I'm also a huge animal lover. I have 2 dogs and a cat myself with my husband, so it's very important.
That's awesome. I appreciate that so much. So these 6 books that I've got out they're now in at least 40 countries. I mean, it is really incredible.
That
I
is
get
amazing.
emails. It's incredible from places that I don't even know where they are. I got to go look at the map and say, where is Mumbai? Where is Slovakia? So I've lectured in 27 countries. And in the 19 years before COVID, I went to Africa every year, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. And the work I do there is with big wild animals that a lot of people are afraid of. I work with predators that are beautiful to me. And the work that I do is about seeing the beauty in all living creations, seeing the worth in them. So that work is with elephants and lions and gorilla and cheetah and great white sharks and penguins, even black mamba. In my last book, I have a chapter about black mamba.
Oh, wow.
And so what I'm talking about there, and this all ties in incredibly beautifully with the whole Angela phenomenon. And it is really a phenomenon to think that 30 years later, I go to these conventions and I'm greeting fans that have tattoos of me on their bodies.
I saw pictures and that's amazing.
It's unbelievable. And it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, this isn't a movie that's getting promoted. I don't even know how they're finding these movies.
So we are diehard. Do you see my shirt? I have you on me.
Well, then, you can help explain this to me because when I'm working with underdogs, I'm working with animals that are mistreated and misunderstood, and people are afraid of them. Therefore, they're not worth rescuing. If people don't rescue things they're afraid of. And for some strange reason, because of the Night of the Demons movies and because of this character, there's some sort of blend that's happening now. And when I'm teaching the webinars, and I'm teaching primarily goddess empowerment webinars, so that women are understanding that if they don't step up to discover their own magical powers, majestic powers, and all the boys too, it's the new generation of children that are going to inherit all the sins of their parents and grandparents. And we have to be able to look at these creatures and understand that every living thing can think, it can feel. Every living thing has a memory. Every living being can think about the future and have relationships and regrets and laugh and cry and comfort you. And not only are they not less than us, I believe that they are far greater, because their love is so pure.
I agree. And that's just how I've been, especially as I get older, with the animals too. I think that humans think that we're more superior than we actually are. The society is man-made. I really do believe that. And I believe that every living creature is supposed to be here and worth value.
Yeah. That's very well said. And the human society is new on the planet. We haven't been here that long to be creating this amount of damage. And the only way to stop the corruption and destruction and damage is to get back in touch with them and be able to cherish and honor the beauty in them, to get past our fear and understand that fear is man-made. I mean, you have a choice of some people are afraid of songbirds. Some people are terrified of spiders. Some people are afraid of snakes.
Some people are afraid of Angela.
Exactly. Exactly. But for some strange reason, the fans that have these tattoos and these hardcore fans, they're seeing beauty in the ability to protect yourself, in the ferocity, and in the underdog, which is being so beautifully celebrated in American culture right now.
Yes.
That this underdog that I played gets even. She's the one that they've been picking on and criticizing and talking behind her back and making fun of her. And yet they want to take advantage of her and go to her party because it's going to be the best one.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like playing Mother Nature herself. This epic fury that comes out of me and is not evil itself. It's sort of righteous indignation, because before I was possessed, the Angela character is the only one saying we shouldn't be doing this.
Exactly.
I was the voice of reason. I was the one saying, no, we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, she said,
We
you know,
shouldn't be
this is,
having a seance and summoning demons, because demons are real.
yeah. Once that noises started and the smell started, you know, Angela was the first person to say, like, this is not a haunted house. This house is possessed. Had to explain what the difference was. And honestly, Suzanne was possessed first because I think she was, quote unquote, in that experience, like the weakest and the easier target to get to Angela.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, Linnea is sensationally scary.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's
I loved
interesting.
her.
There are at least two of us. I mean, Jill is two. Jill
Yeah.
Terashita is two. But you've got these female characters that are alluring and seductive and beautiful and commanding, or in Linnea's case, just irresistible. And then they turn into ferocity itself,
Yeah.
fear itself. And I think it is so interesting that this has somehow struck a chord in so many people. Because it would have been easy for these movies to just go away. I mean, you make a low budget horror movie.
Yeah.
And I think the reason we all went so crazy was because we thought, well, no one's ever going to see this.
And that's the best kind. But even, did you know that I saw today on social media, it was funny, is that The Night of the Demons 2 was released today, 28 years ago, to video.
Wow. Well, we just got a new DVD release in Germany, and I recorded a little interview for the opening of that one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love Demons too.
I do too. I just watched all three again just to prepare. I've seen 1 and 2 like the most. Part 3 is very difficult to track down.
Yes, it's obscure. It's a lot more obscure.
But I found it on YouTube somehow and I watched it.
Wow. So I'll go back. I'll cover this real quickly because I lost my train of thought there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's okay. Africa, the charity work I do, I go into the schools. It's a one-woman army. And I encourage the children to get jobs protecting the animals on the safari park so they don't grow up to give in to the poachers, which is almost impossible. If you're in Africa and you have children to feed and a grandmother who's sick, and I mean, you're taking care of the whole community. It's very different there. They love each other deeply. It's really different from America. And somebody offers you the equivalent to $500,000 to get rid of an animal that's raiding your garden. an elephant, why would you not fall? I mean, why would you not give in to that? And when I'm talking to the kids, I'm talking to them about the fact that if they don't get jobs on the safari parks protecting the animals, they have no financial security. This is the long-term security.
Yeah.
So we're dancing as elephants, we're drawing elephants, we're dancing as lions, we're drawing lions, we're making up plays. So the theater, the improv comedy, the improv dramas are about the animals. What are they feeling? What are they thinking? Do they love their families? What baby elephant misses mother if she gets poached? The safaris are a very magical blend of prayer and meditation and going out in reverence and dancing and keeping everything positive. It's all about love and joy, gratitude, hope and happiness, so that what we're delivering to those animals is this beautiful energy. We don't need anything from them. I don't even need a picture of them. I'll be in the third generation of leopards, and the elephant family that's adopted me, that waits for me before my plane lands, before I know where I'm going. 5 elephants standing around my tent. So in the old ways, whether it doesn't matter where you're from or what culture it was, the old ways, I'm Native American, and they were more in touch with the land. You could be Celtic, you could be German, you could be Brazilian. It doesn't really matter. Cuban, it doesn't matter. If you go back a few generations before all of the industrial revolution changed the landscape of Earth, people were in touch with the animals. They were in touch with spirit, with their feelings, with their intuition, constantly checking, is the water safe to drink? Is the storm going to come? What do we do to make it rain? I'm Choctaw and Cherokee, and also Scotch Irish, and maybe Welsh. Those people are very magical people. So on a daily basis, this applies to the fact that you acknowledge that your animals are thinking and feeling, and they're constantly trying to talk to you. They're not the problem. We're the problem. But we've got to upgrade our software so that we can actually hear them and understand them and feel them. And what's happening now all over the world is that these ideas are not so woo-woo and controversial as they once were. They're more, it's becoming more available. I mean, the webinars I've got students from all over the world. In those 27 countries where I taught in person, now I'm doing it online. And everyone's finding, wow, there's something in me that's bigger than I thought it was, that's connected to the greater whole. That I mean, when I talk about it, I say you're a cell on Mother Nature's skin, but you're a part of something larger than this.
Yeah.
And all of the chemical reactions inside of your body, the cells inside of your body, they can talk to each other. They have a signaling system. A white blood cell knows it's not a red blood cell. It knows it has a different purpose. So does it have an ego identity the way that we do? It's got to have some sort so that it knows it's different, and it's available to be directed in ways that help and heal the organism that it's a part of. That's really what this whole work is about. The charity's called Archangel. I call my students archangels, ARK, angel, here to assist the animals and the planet. But how that ties into the horror movies is getting past fear. Humans are afraid of all the wrong things. Humans aren't afraid of the right things. They're afraid of the wrong things. They don't have any problem making stupid mistakes. But if they want to try to help an animal and they're afraid of the animal, or they're afraid they can't do it, or they don't believe that they have this divine connection to their own soul, and therefore to the soul of the animals and everything else, well, you lose.
I honestly think that humans are afraid of the unknown and what they can't understand. So I think that when they don't understand, they strike fear, and in fear they react with violence or hate. I've noticed. And that's not just with animals, that's with many things that are unknown, you know?
Yeah, that's very well said. I totally agree. And this, we should be afraid of what we think we know.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we should be afraid of what we're being taught, what we were taught in school, and somebody else's misperceptions that are being crammed down our throats.
Exactly. We're not
But
questioning.
yeah, now though, this new generation of children who need new role models, and I'm one of the first to step into that role with books that weren't offered in your grade school.
No.
My first book that was thought to be madness, because I'm talking about developing my extrasensory perception quite by accident. Didn't even
Yeah.
know I had it, discovered I had it with a cat.
Was it a
And then
cat?
I had it with a dog. And then I had it with, and now it's with everything from show horses to parrots and ferrets and kangaroos and stingrays and dolphins. I mean, there isn't anything that can't talk.
That's just
We are the
amazing.
ones that have to learn how to listen.
Mhm.
And that first book is now being offered in San Diego University as a textbook.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. And so the evolution that's happened, the progress is phenomenal.
It
And
is.
now it's not so weird as it was. People that are almost anybody that, I mean, you know what the horse whisperer is, you know what the dog whisperer is, you know what an animal whisperer is. When I started all this, the terminology didn't even exist.
Yeah.
It wasn't a career opportunity. Like
Yeah.
training students all over the world. The Japanese government paid to have a Japanese student fly to Hawaii and study with me.
Wow.
South Korea has now declared it an official legal profession because two of my books are bestsellers in South Korea.
That is just like take a moment to reflect. Like that's just amazing to think of, because like you said, it wasn't something that was known back then. And there's a lot of people that would write it off as madness, like you would say, which people who don't understand don't want to acknowledge it. But now we have, like you said, this new generation, and people are realizing that this is not madness, and people like you have persevered to pave the way for the next generation to step in, and it won't be as hard for them as it might have been for you.
Thank you. I'll take that. As it is true. I've been going on live television and radio, live radio, where they bring a dog into the radio station and try to trick me.
I'm sure.
Yeah, they try to lie to me. They try to make a fool of me, and it's the animals are the ones who prove them wrong.
Yeah.
It's not me. I'm just the messenger. I'm here representing the fact that we all have a spirit, we all have a soul, we all have a point of view, we all have emotions, we all have thoughts. The fact that I can hear them and translate for them is proof.
Yeah.
And
it's,
if
it's rough.
that radio host who had that dog, I'll give you, for instance, this was years ago. One of my books came out and I went to a live studio early in the morning in Burbank, Los Angeles.
Hmm.
It was a country western station. And the man brought the dog into the room, and I know what time it is. I don't even wait for them to ask me questions. I just start talking to the animals. And I said, her favorite other person other than you is a woman named Beatrice, who's got kind of grayish hair in her 60s. I don't know. I don't even remember the description. What I remember is Aunt B. Said your children love her and they call her Aunt B. The man, who was a big man, his eyes misted over and he started to cry.
Hmm.
And he went on national radio and said, I have a confession to make. I brought this woman into this studio today to make fun of her. I wanted to prove her wrong. But there is only one person in my house that the dogs see and that my children see on a daily basis. Her name is Beatrice, and it's our dog sitter, our nanny, and the children call her Aunt B. And he said if she had been stalking us, she would have had to put microphones in the house to find that out. And he said, I want to make a formal apology to all of my listeners. And it makes me cry.
Yeah.
But when you have this kind of evidential proof consistently, what it shows me, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. It's not an ego-based thing. I mean, you
No.
don't get applauded for being a good listener. Somebody turns on the radio and you're listening to music. No one's going to say, wow, you're a great listener. That's all this is. This is a different kind of frequency that's being transmitted through us around the planet, throughout the planet, who is Mother Nature, Mother Goddess, Mother Earth. She is a living organism.
Mm-hmm.
We all have intuition. We all have the capacity to listen. And this is what I teach. And all my students can do. Hundreds of thousands of people in 27 countries can do it now. And you always kick yourself if you didn't listen. It's always in retrospect. I mean, how many times has it happened to you, Eric, when you said, I knew I shouldn't have?
Exactly. Many
I
times.
knew I should have. And then what is it in you that doubts yourself?
Other people. So that's something that I've also worked on is developing my intuition and knowing that my intuition is correct, and not listening to the people that are trying to make fools of me or to make me doubt myself. Because it's we all have pasts that are, we have things that happen, and you revisit and you think, you have to identify your role and accountability and their role.
And isn't it interesting that when we bow down to other people's limitations, which are not your limitations, they're going to try to drag you down into their muggle world.
Yeah.
And rather than allowing you to lift them up. And now what's happening is the liftoff is a global event that we all have available to us right now. That we can either turn on the television and get all caught up in that chaos and negativity, which is all about trying to get you scared and make you buy things. Yeah. And this connection can't be bought. Nope. Your love for your cat, your love for your dog, that's not a purchase. It's not a commodity. That love that you have for them might be the purest love you have of any love in your life. They love you unconditionally. They don't care if you lost your job. They don't care if you put on weight. They don't care if you got sick. They don't care. Nope. They love you. End of story.
And they know when you're different too. I have my one pit bull I've had since she was 4 months, and she just turned 12 in July. She's my best friend, and we've been through a lot together. We grew up together, and she knows when I'm a little different. So does the other dogs. They all come and they all cuddle on top of me. All the animals. And I have a thing with just animals in general. They seem to be drawn to me and come and sit by me and sit and talk. And it's just a connection I have.
They're drawn to an open heart and compassion and gentleness and unconditional love. And so many that one of the other themes with the animal communication and with the horror movie fans is that we've all been bullied.
Yep.
We've been bullied by people that are wrong. Mm-hmm. They're cruel and they're wrong. And they may be answering to the previous generation who were their teachers, their parents, the people who wrote the textbooks. Just because somebody wrote it in a book doesn't make it right. I mean, we're finding that now online all the time. Somebody will post anything, it doesn't make it right. Yeah. And when you're able to honor the fact that God, Goddess, all that is, made you perfect just the way you are, on purpose. There's nothing wrong with you. And you have something within you that has the capacity to hear and listen and feel In Star Wars, they call it the field. Disturbances in the field, in the
Yeah.
quantum field. And someone else came along and tried to shame and humiliate you and bully it out of you because it makes you impossible to control.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to say, I sense this, I feel this, I heard this, I'm acting upon this because it's coming from the depths of my soul, there's some sort of wisdom in me that I know this is the right thing to do. Oops.
Yeah.
Was I me? I'm not going to fall for your bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
And
fall for your bullshit. I don't care what you tell me on the news, which may or may not be true, or get me all riled up in all sorts of political horseshit,
yeah, I don't get
nonsense,
riled up in the political horseshit either.
negativity. Who knows? Who cares?
Yeah.
We're looking now to a way to create a world full of hope and meaning and harmony and balance and joy and being present.
Being present. That's a perfect way to say, because I that is my mantra now, is I get wrapped up so much and I have to tell myself to be present. I did it earlier. I'm like, you just need to be present. And like you said, with the horror community, is we were bullied. And I think that was like with me, I just turned 36 and I just reintroduced myself back into the love of horror, because growing up, I was a huge horror fan, obviously, and your movie was my first one that I picked on my own when I was young, and it was amazing. And I watched them all the time and I collected things. But then I lost my parents young, and I hit my 20s, and I came out of the closet, and I stopped trying to, be a horror fan, because I thought it wasn't going to be accepted. I didn't have other people like me. And now I have an amazing husband and a group of people that celebrate me for me. And now I have my podcast, and I have my office full of like things that I'm starting to recollect, and it's amazing.
Wow. And isn't it nice we're living in this time? No, the reason there's an astronaut behind me, Edgar Mitchell. He mentored my second book, The Language of Miracles. And when I first met him, he said that this man walked on the moon. He flew through the Apollo missions. He's one of the greatest minds, if not the greatest mind of our century, at least, maybe more than that. He finished Einstein's unified field theory in his spare time for fun. He
Yeah.
redesigned the space station one afternoon for fun, just got bored of him. But when I first met Dr. Mitchell, he said, you're about 20 years ahead of your time. And I said, do you mean with consciousness? He said, no, with technology.
Mm.
I didn't know what he meant at the time. We had lots of conversations about MRI machines and the kinds of things that can measure energy. And there are more and more of these pieces of machinery being developed that can actually measure an exchange of information, or they put electrodes on a Buddhist monk's brain and they watch that it lights up. Parts of the brain light up that normal Westerners don't use. And now one of the things that makes sense to me was that also Ed might have been talking about this. All of us who have been bullied, who did feel crazy, who were brought up to believe that you're alone and your feelings are worthless and you don't have any psychic ability. Now, every child is brought up that way in the Western world.
Yeah.
Because every child is having visions of the grandmother who is about to pass away that same day.
Yes.
Or knows there's something wrong with a cat or the horse, that knows something bad's going to happen before the airplane goes down. We all children are born with this ability. Now, because of the internet, we have access to each other. And the same thing with the horror community.
Yes.
That what you felt isolated, and now, yes, you can come to a horror con, or else you can simply create something like what you've done here to bring us together.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Just and like you said, I just went to a horror convention, my first one ever, a couple weeks ago. It was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was overwhelmed. It was just amazing. I didn't know how to anticipate it, but I see that you do horror cons. I saw that you and Linnea did one in New Jersey a couple of years ago. You had a reunit.
We did.
Program.
And the next one coming up is in Minneapolis and it's soon. So on the 16th of September, is that right? Yeah. 16th through the 18th, we'll be at the Crypticon, and Linnea and I will be in costume again.
That is
And when we're in
amazing.
costume for photo ops, oh my God. I mean, it's a party. It is
I'm
something
sure you
else.
guys seem like a lot of fun, especially even in the movie. The two of your chemistry is just amazing. I watched some interviews with the two of you too. She seems like a wonderful woman as well.
She is a wonderful, warm-hearted, loving soul. And it's incredible that the cast of Demons won because of these horror conventions. I think Linnea and I started doing them first, and then I tried to get as many of the other cast members involved as possible.
Yeah.
We started having cast reunions. Not only have we all now reconnected and are really close friends,
That's very exciting.
we went our separate ways, and now we all have so much in common. It's crazy. Billy Gallo is also a spiritual teacher and a
Is
strong
he?
one. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And Linnea runs a dog rescue. She's an animal
Oh,
lover. So we've all come back together with very similar interests. Um, Alvin Alexis is also incredibly spiritual person. Allison Barron also rescues animals. So it's almost like the spirit of the movie,
yeah.
the spirit of the cast.
And I think horror fans in general are also huge animal lovers. Like we don't care to watch people get slaughtered on film, but you better not hurt an animal in a horror movie.
I know, but maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, it's
It,
all
it's
intertwined.
fun to watch muggles get blown up because they have it coming. They deserve it.
Yeah,
And that also ties into this childhood of being misunderstood, of coming into a world that's so overwhelmingly negative. And you're thinking, why on earth am I here? Where am I from? What am I doing here? And
yeah,
that's exactly what I'm teaching now, that we are here to establish territory and to bring this new frequency here. And it's taking a huge amount of strength and courage, because what it means is that you don't bow down to that fear.
yeah,
You're not a servant of that fear. You're not a servant of all the nonsense that they're trying to trick us with. And
yeah. You have to push yourself and persevere through everything because it's one life and you want to have experiences and you want to trust your intuition and push yourself through uncomfortable situations and really what you are fighting for, what you want, because you're only responsible for you. you know
I one of the greatest honors that I have is having this enormous gay community and having guys go as me in drag.
I love that. I
Phenomenal.
If I would have had the support when I was younger, I would have done drag as you a very long time ago. I joke every year. I tell my one sister who is a fan of the movies as well. She's a horror fan. And I tell her every year, I'm like, this year I'm gonna be Angela. She's like, do it. I'm like, I don't know how to go about it. I used to imitate the demon voice all the time growing up. It's one day I'll get there. One day.
So, what was it about this crazy movie and my outrageous character that made an impression on you, Eric?
To be blunt, you scared the shit out of me when I was 10. So my mom was a big horror fan and she would watch the Freddy Kruegers, the Michael Myers, and the Jason films with me. And at a young age, I was allowed to watch Jason slaughter someone. I wasn't allowed to watch people go take their tops off though. I had to close my eyes. But my father took me to the video rental store by our house and I was like around 10 and I was looking at the different movies and the cover that I have on here. the demon face caught my attention. And then the line, Freddie and Jason were too scared to come, was like, okay, let's try this one. So I rented it. I talked my dad to let me rent it, and I went home and I put it in the VCR in the living room. My mom was in the kitchen, and I was enjoying it. And then the first scene that they show you in demon makeup, where you're like something like Roger, welcome back, Roger, and he turns around and then you're in the demon face, just terrified me. I had to hit the pause button and I ran into the kitchen. But it's coming back to what I was saying, how I've always been is I was going to get through this movie. So I calmed down, went back, hit play, and every time I got scared, I'd pause it and go sit with my mom and come back and finish the movie. And then it just became like one of my favorite all-time horror movies. And then I found the sequels and I just watched them with my friends. And it's just something that has been a huge part of my life forever.
Isn't that so amazing?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking
It's so amazing.
1996. I was 10.
Well, I can't take credit for the demon scariness. That was Steve Johnson's genius. So Steve Johnson had just won the Oscar for Ghostbusters and was one of the reasons I took the movie,
Nice.
because he was at the time quite literally the best in the world. And I took the job thinking, oh, the special effects will be fun. They weren't. It's not fun.
It, I was,
So believe me, it's method acting by the time you've been sitting in makeup for 9 hours.
I mean, that's what I don't think people give enough credit to every film that people are making, whether it's a huge box office or if it's someone else just trying to make a fun movie. There's still a lot of work and a lot that goes into that.
Oh, my word. But for all three of the movies, the actors are getting credit for things that we didn't do.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons Demons is so scary is the cinematography.
Yes,
Photography is terrifying.
it is.
The editing has to be just right so that the jump scares work.
Yeah.
You've got somebody running down a green, creepy, gross hallway going, for the breathing, right? When I first come out of the crematorium,
Oh
and
yeah.
you don't see anything. This
Yeah.
isn't millions of dollars of CGI and exploding spaceships right up front.
Which
It's
you believe.
truly suspenseful because it was great low budget filmmaking.
It
It
was.
was
It
great
was.
filmmaking,
And
period.
that
If
scene
you
where
have
they
no money and you're trying to make something scary and you're not even showing anything.
yeah, and it works. And it's that scene where they go through from the crematorium in every film is the same scene they use in each demon film of running through the house when the demon releases every film. I noticed. And also the iconic you floating down the hallway is in every demon film.
And that's movie magic. I was on roller skates, as you know.
Yeah.
Roller skates. They pushed me and I was going, I was completely out of control.
You
Because
have to.
if the skates got stuck in my hoop skirt, I have got
Oh yeah.
layers of tulle. I got about to fall on my face. So there were so many other elements that make it scary. It was Kevin Tenney's direction. It was Joe Augustine's writing. It was Steve Johnson's genius, but also things like the music.
I love the music is iconic. That opening title
That
is
was Kevin's brother, Dennis.
amazing.
If any one of those things hadn't been at the level that it was, with people making no money at all, but are wholeheartedly committed to putting in all their creativity, putting in all, and we're staying up all night, night after night after night.
Yeah.
And why did everybody work so hard and go just crazy for something that we all thought no one was going to see? I mean, the only thing that I can compare it to, and I don't know, I could imagine what Tim Curry had to say about Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror is another cult classic. Did you?
Another one that he probably thought, well, no one's ever going to see this, so let's just go crazy. And that's what I did. I went, you know what? I'm going wild. Get a
Yeah.
handheld. chase me around because I'm gonna start dancing. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Your
So
dance scene is another thing that is referenced, very iconic, is the dancing in the Demons one.
that was the true reason that I took the role. The other true reason that I took the role, I said, I'll take it if you let me choreograph it and do whatever I want. A lot of you also that are watching this are Golden Girls fans, and you know that my aunt also has a phenomenal gay following, also has
Oh
a
my God. Yeah.
huge fan base, even from heaven she does.
Yes.
And I was living with my aunt. I was only a dancer. I did not want to be an actress.
Yeah.
My Aunt Rue Blanche on the Golden Girls pushed me into it. She said, Mimi, you're going to be an actress. And I said, I don't want to be an actress. I'm a dancer. I'm a
Yeah.
real dancer. I was a classically trained modern
Yes.
dancer and ballerina. And she, when I came home with this script, and I was like, I'm probably going to get it. And she said, you're taking that job. It's the lead and it's a job and you're taking it. And she knew the value of playing the villain. She said, that's the best role.
Yes.
The villain.
You know, and I think like for me when I was younger, like I said, I had friends that I would imitate the voice from the Demons with all the time, and my favorite thing is like the villain. I think that me personally, if I were ever in a movie, I would want to be the villain, and I would channel Angela, Pennywise, and Freddy Krueger. That would be a mixture of those three because I'm maniacal, and my husband calls me weird all the time because I'm just that. That's my sense of scary, like similar to how you probably would be with Angela, the fun, like laughing and things like that.
It was playful too. And I think that that may add into the scares. I mean, I'll see some movies that are being made now, big budget movies. It's just overdrive. It's overkill. I mean, from the second it starts, it's overkill.
Yeah.
CGI, explosion, 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 car crash, violence. So many people got killed or crawling over the hill. Blah, blah, blah. I'll be 15 minutes into it and I'm like, oh my God, I needed a nap.
Yeah,
And what it was set out to accomplish, it does not accomplish.
exactly.
You've got to pull back to have some shading, some percussion, some musicality in what you're
Hmm.
creating. It's not just push, 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 push. The dancers are doing it now. What happens is it's boring. It all flattens out.
Yeah. I always say, you know, with the remakes and things like that, I appreciate a lot of horror films. I can appreciate for different things, but I think when they're, especially they're bringing things like remakes back and thing, I always say they try too hard to do certain things. Keep it simple, make it fresh. That's it.
And it was funny,
Yes.
which also was what made it so fun.
Yes.
That
I
one
think
minute it's funny, and then the next minute there's a jump scare.
it had really good balance.
And the 80s horror was famous for that.
Hmm.
I had seen when the only things that I prepared for, I watched Kevin Tinney's Witchboard, which was wonderful. And for the second one, I watched Brian Trenchard Smith's one of the remakes of Leprechaun.
I like Leprechaun.
Wonderful film. Hilarious,
Yes.
scary,
Yeah.
classy, beautifully done, elegant choices. These things don't take a lot of money. They take a lot of talent.
Hmm.
They take a good eye. Because
Yes.
now you'll see these high budget movies. They stink. They blow it all anyway. It's all blown.
Yeah.
And with this, we had no money. So we've got Steve Johnson standing off camera with my tail in Demons 2 after I've been strapped to a teeter-totter and glued in a trench. And they raised the teeter-totter and I'm a 6-foot snake.
Yeah, I'm watching this the other day. I'm like,
No, I'm sorry, I'm a 30-foot snake.
it was massive.
It was massive. 2 contacts in both eyes. And an entire ice chest filled with pineapple flavored tongues of different lengths. That was when I blew Stooge's brains out the back of his head.
Oh yeah.
But Steve was tied my tail with dental floss, and he's standing off stage flipping the dental floss. The
Yeah, I
dental
mean,
floss doesn't show.
Yeah, but the creativity does.
And the effect is terrifying. I can't watch myself come out of that crematorium in Demons 2.
Really?
I watch the movie all the time because
Mhm.
we'll do showings of it or midnight showings. I had to cover my eyes.
It's amazing though. I just, like I said, the movies are just amazing. Did you, like you said, you didn't know it was going to be this big?
There's no way to predict anything that you do. I don't care what it is. And
Yeah.
I don't care what an A-list actor you are. Or it's in any art form, whether you're an artist, you're a singer, you're a painter, you don't know whether you're a writer. And if you thought you knew, it's when they go into they'll show the ending and get crowd feedback and then rewrite the ending and go in and change it to please the audience. If you're trying to think about the outer response of a piece of artwork that's coming out of you, then that piece of artwork is no longer coming out of you. Now you're in your head trying to second guess whether or not other people are going to like it. And that's what I'm talking about. This whole Angela thing, how this is tied into the psychic work. I
Yeah.
don't care whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's none of my business how you respond to me as an artist. What I have to do is commit completely to having an authentic expression of what sort of art wants to come out of me. And almost every single person who's watching this is an artist of some
Mhm.
sort. As soon as you try to second guess how it's going to be received, you're now in your head and
Yes.
you're all worried and fearful and I have to please them. Well, then you're going back into that abused kid mode. And that's not where art comes from. Art comes from allowing that little abused kid to have a voice.
Yep. And it's funny that you say that because I started my podcast and I got wrapped up thinking like about what I can do for people listening, and then I wasn't having fun. I did it because I wanted to reconnect with the horror community, and now I do it because I want to reconnect with the horror community. Not and who likes it, and who doesn't. I'm not trying to do it to appease anyone.
You're not responsible for that
Yeah.
because you don't know how they're going to react. I mean, you see now huge budget things that come out and they're supposed to be blockbusters and then bomb
Mm-hmm.
because that adds this layer of lies, this falsehood in it. I'm going to please the audience. I don't know what the people in Oklahoma are going to do. I don't know how the people in Sweden are going to react to this movie. That's not my responsibility.
No.
And what you feel in Demons 1 is that we were having fun.
Yeah.
We were really having fun.
It looked
And
like
that's
it.
why it's fun to watch.
It's I've watched it countless times. I can continue watching it over and over again. It is just it never tires it for me.
Isn't that incredible? But I think you feel that, don't you?
Yeah.
That you got a cast where we're cracking each other up all the time. We sincerely like each other. And we were having a ball, even with all the uncomfortable special effects.
Yeah.
When you're in your 20s and you've got all sorts of crap glued to your face, there's nothing to do but have fun. So you feel what's real.
Hmm. And that's my biggest thing in life is I try to convey myself as authentic as possible. Even this, talking with you, this is a lifelong dream of mine. I'm doing this for me, and hopefully other people will connect and appreciate it and have the courage to also pursue their dreams and things like that.
Eric, that's exactly it. I mean, my first book was a diary, a tear-stained diary that I had been crying in every morning for 10 years. I went back and picked 50 of my best case studies, my favorite stories. I wrote the bridges of how to get into the right state of consciousness, what sort of meditation, what sort of prayer. You're basically praying to the soul of that animal to come tell you, relay to you whatever information it is that you can't understand, you can't see it, can't feel it. They can get it through to you. So there are these very obscure transcendental states of consciousness that revolve around love. Sorry, it's such a cliche, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And when now that book is my international bestseller. That's the one that's in at least 40 countries. And it's phenomenal that it's even still in print. And it's because of technology. It's because of Amazon that it's still in print.
Yeah.
That would have been like Demons 1. It would have gone away. If we didn't have this technology to watch movies and download books and order books. But my point being, I wrote what matters to me. And when people come to me now for writing tips, I say, great writing is great storytelling. It's not preaching. Same thing with a great horror movie.
Yeah.
You don't give it all away. You let the audience react to it individually the way they react to it.
Yes.
Some parts of a horror movie scare somebody, and that doesn't scare the person next to them. Some other part of the movie affects that person. And with a book, I say, write about what makes you cry, what makes you laugh, and what makes you angry. And my first book, Straight from the Horse's Mouth, is just that. It's what mattered to me. And they were things that I thought no one in the world is going to care about the conversations I'm having with my cat.
But
or
they're
what I was
everywhere.
going through when he started to die, or what was happening when I'm being called upon to help other people and not really knowing how to harness this magic.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't. I've got a better grasp on how to open yourself up to be a channel, and it involves getting out of your own way. So the last thing you want to think about is how other people are going to respond to what you're doing.
I think that's really good to always constantly remind yourself and the people you care about that are around. I think we have a sense of responsibility to tell people that, to get out of
But
their own
what
way.
they love and care about is important.
Yes.
And what they think is funny is important, and what makes them cry is important, because those are universal. And you take that quite a few steps farther, and you realize gorillas feel the same way, and lions feel the same way, and elephants feel and your cats and your dogs and your horses and your birds and your turtles and your snakes feel the same way. Then there's a more unified consciousness when you're acknowledging there is no hierarchy. That's the problem. Humans think they're better than everybody else. That the humans think they have the right to exploit the animals and destroy the planet. They think that they have the right to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think they do.
I agree.
And that's pretty much now, at least in my world, it's the consensus. And even people who pretend to not believe in this or think they don't believe in this, they still want to champion that innocence. They don't want to be a part of the human race. They're so ashamed.
Yeah.
They just don't know what to do to fix it. And this is very small, that you go out and you have some act of kindness. And those acts of kindness, whether you're rescuing an insect or helping a person through the grief they're having with their animal passing away and they don't know where to take it. They don't have anybody who'll take them seriously because they've been told all their lives, oh, it's just a dog.
I know, that's terrible.
Everybody knows that there's no such thing as just a dog. I think it's more likely to be able to say, well, it's just a human.
Yeah, I mean, when my dog passed away in 2019, and it was a sudden freak accident, and it was devastating to me. And I have younger nieces and nephews, and we did a small memorial for him. And I was like, weird, because I didn't want people to say, oh, you're doing that for a dog. But I said to my husband, and I said, like, the people in my life are very accepting and caring now, to where I didn't care if other people thought it was weird. You know, it was sudden. He was around for a long time, and the kids didn't get to say goodbye. So we had a beautiful thing. We wrote messages on lanterns and lit them and had a nice memorial for him.
Oh, that's a great idea. And it's important now. I've got two students who were in the UK that I just got to see. They're a married couple. In the workshop that I was teaching, the group was communicating with a dog. The dog was telling me about this blonde woman, showing me this vision, pushing a baby carriage. She had twins. I see this young, beautiful, blue-eyed blonde girl, and the I don't like the word owner, the guardian of the dog couldn't identify it. And then we look over at this one student, and I said, "It's you. It's you." And she said, "Twins run in my family." I said, "Yes, and you're going to have these twins." And she and her husband were there. They've come to see me in England and Germany. They just came to see me again in Wales. Now she's in my webinar.
Oh,
Now she has these twin boys
that's
that
so
dog
amazing.
predicted before she knew she was pregnant. And they can do that because animals know everything that's going on with us. They see your emotional state, they see your history, they know your medical history, they know what's happening inside your body. Their sole job is to try to keep us happy and lift us up and
Yeah.
get us in the present moment with all our love.
Mm-hmm.
But they recently had an elderly cat disappear who unfortunately probably has indeed gone off to die. And I was talking about the dad in the household. And I said, have a funeral, have a service, let the little boys see their father cry. Let them understand that loving animals and losing animals and the pain that it causes is noble, is worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've been taught, our parents are, not all your parents, but
Yeah.
maybe grandparents. It's just a cat. You're acting like a baby. Instead of acknowledging the feelings that you have.
Yeah.
And only through acknowledging your own feelings are you going to be able to acknowledge the other animal's feelings.
I agree. It's important. And my mom was a huge animal lover, huge animal lover. She's all about all the animals, and I know I'm just like her. I mean, a lot of respect. So it's nice, and the animals that are in our house are all rescues. So my pit bull, like I said, I've had for since she was 4 months. She's 12. Um, was just on the street and came to my ex and jumped in the car with him and came home. She wouldn't go near anyone else, and he brought her to me, and she's been with me since.
And I know your mom is with you all the time too.
I think so.
Yeah. So there's the connection to spirit. There's this connection to mediumship, connection to the animals. We're going back. It's not new age nonsense. It's the old ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's the old ways. This corrupt idea that animals can't think and feel, and you have no psychic ability, and you're not supposed to be able to hear or sense your parents who are in heaven.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. That's new nonsense.
Yep.
The old ways are the ways of the shaman, the witch, even the Christ, the Christess, the Buddha, working the miracles, working the magic. They're in touch with who they really are. And
Yep.
at the center of our soul, we all are that magical. We all are that powerful. And I think, and I'm always trying to tie in these two worlds of what Angela means to fans.
Yeah.
They're so hardcore.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
What
They
is
are.
it
I mean,
like?
the thing about None of the Demons is either you've never heard of it or you have a tattoo of me on your body. There's
Yeah.
almost nothing in between. I see people who are cult obsessed, and then there are people who have never seen it, and
Yeah.
there's nothing in between.
It's amazing. What is it like to see people at horror conventions dressed as your character?
Outrageous. And they'll bring me their babies dressed as me. They bring me their dogs dressed as me.
Really?
I'm so honored that something touched a chord in people's hearts. Because I'm the villain. I mean, for all practical purposes, you wouldn't be a fan of me.
In my mind, for me, you're like the female version of Freddy Krueger. You're the female villain that everyone loves and wants to see in every installment of Demons. Just like there's only one Robert Englund, there's only one Amelia Kinkade, there's only one Angela. You know,
Thank you.
it's amazing. And
There's only one Linnea Quigley because she crushed it.
Oh,
Well,
she did.
everybody did. I mean,
Yeah.
Hal Havens did, Billy did, everybody did.
Yeah, I mean the character. I'm sorry, I'm not good with names. The character that played the guy that played Stooge. Yeah,
That's Hal Havens. He's phenomenal.
I mean, think about after his tongue is bitten off, he's in the rest of the movie nonverbal acting.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, he terrified
And
me.
he's funny before he's terrifying. And
Yeah.
he's a jerk. And he's
Oh.
like the jerk that we all went to high school with
Yeah,
that deserves to have his tongue bit out.
yeah. Like people don't realize the symbolism there is that he was saying all this horrible stuff to the women and things, and then
Right.
you bite his tongue out, like you stop him, like you are in charge.
And this was 30 years before the revolution that we're going through right now. And we had the first African American to survive in a horror movie. So Alvin was a hero.
Which is very important, which is another reason that I really watched it is my nieces and nephews are biracial. Their fathers were African American, and it was important for them to see that as well in
Yeah.
horror.
Yeah. And we had the first female villains.
Yeah.
Female monsters.
Successful.
So it was way ahead of its time with its political implications.
Mhm.
And I think perhaps maybe that's one of the reasons the movies have weathered time so well.
Yeah.
Because if you made it now and you'd say there's an Asian character, there's an Italian character, there's the whole rainbow spectrum. Demons One already had all that.
Yes.
You couldn't
chemistry.
cast it any better.
Yeah.
And when there was misogyny, I get even.
You do.
When there was bullying, I get even.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same way that it is in all my worlds.
Yeah.
It's all about defending innocence.
Yeah. I did have a question about the house, Hull House. That building was another thing that drew me into the first two movies. It was
right,
terrifying. Is it as terrifying in person when you were there?
Yes. Yeah, Whole House. So this was in Old Hollywood. This was now when we filmed it, it was a very, very, very bad part of town. And when I say Old Hollywood, I mean Charlie Chaplin era Hollywood. So this is where the movies started, down in this part of town. And this is where there were a lot of these gorgeous Victorian mansions that are granted haunted on their own. And it was in a gang-ridden, just run-down, terrifying part of town.
Wow.
And the house itself had a certain character, had a certain presence. And to be able to find that location, that's somebody else's talent that they found that house.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately has been torn down, and there's a grocery store there now. But the house itself, yeah, because back in the heyday, it must have been a beautiful home.
Yeah.
It was a Victorian mansion. It must have been stunning. It's a little bit like Titanic. I mean, if you found it at the bottom of the ocean right now, it would be terrifying. But if you could imagine how beautiful it was.
Yeah. But that house terrified me too. And I was, I like the creepy factors to it, but there was something that watching it on screen that with the music based with, like you said, with the filming and watching as they drop down and show the front and the side pieces, it's just terrifying. The house itself.
A lot of that had to do with the director of photography.
Yeah.
It was how talented he was.
Yeah.
That he could, and the cameraman, that they could portray it in such a creepy light, and they really did, didn't they?
They did such a good job. You guys all pulled everything together. Your work, you know, is still, like you said, standing the test of time. It's still coming strong. I mean, even like I said, I follow the Fangoria magazine on Facebook, and they're the ones that shared that Night of the Demons 2 was released, you know, today. You know, they're still sharing this
I didn't
information.
even know that. I didn't
Yeah.
even, yeah, I don't know who's fanning these flames. It's incredible to think that it's bigger now than it ever was. And this is a movie that got me blacklisted. When people say to me, well, why'd you quit acting? We don't just wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to stop being a movie star.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a job. I got blacklisted because back at that time, horror movies were something that you looked down upon.
Yep.
There were horror movie actors. Oh, we can't hire one of them for
Yeah.
a real movie. And
Exactly.
they had the same kind of prejudice against soap operas
Yep.
because I was on The Young and the Restless for quite a while.
You're restless.
And it's hard work. It's
Yeah.
really, really hard. And nobody should get more credit. Making movies is easy. Making soap operas is hard.
I would imagine, because there's so much you have to do, and they don't have a lot of breaks in filming, I'm sure.
Pounding out an hour every day. And the amount of lines you've got to memorize and how quickly, and it's hard. And low budget horror movies are hard.
You have to put
And
more into
what
it.
they should have been able to do is look at these actors and say, my God, if they suffered through that, 27 hours in special effects makeup, strapped in a trench as a snake,
I know.
he can do anything. That's what they should have said. They should have
Exactly.
looked at us and said, if he can do that, he can do anything.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get a job. Excuse me. Nobody would hire me.
It's ridiculous. And you know, I think like you say, like things happen for a reason, and all these wonderful things that you've got to do with the animals now too, and your society and your classes. And do you think that if you were still getting jobs after Demons, that this would still have happened, that the books and the tours and safaris would still have happened?
I'm a very big believer in divine guidance and divine destiny.
Yeah.
And I had a destiny to accomplish on this planet. And even when I started acting, the only reason I wanted to do it was to be famous enough to have a platform to be able to rescue animals and bring attention to wildlife and the environment, conservation. And I don't think it would have happened. I would have been so busy being on a soap or whatever. I couldn't have devoted the kind of time. This took soul searching. You don't write a book.
No.
I turned in 800 pages to the head of Random House, the head of Crown Books. She'd been the head of Times Books, my editor. And she whittled it down to 400.
Okay.
But that was a sacrifice that had to be made because I needed to accomplish what I came here to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to act. It wasn't just to repeat back words that somebody else wrote.
Mm-hmm.
The words have to come from me. They had to be my words. And that's when I'm talking about art. It comes from you. You can't second guess. Oh, this is popular now. This is selling well. In any aspect, from fashion design to interior design to anything, the only way to change things and make a big difference is to do something that comes from you.
Yes.
And it's not going to be popular around you. There's not going to be a guaranteed audience because no one's ever done it before. And that's what makes art.
Yeah.
You've got to have the courage to say, geez, maybe no one's going to like this, but I'm
Yeah.
going to do it anyway because
For
this is
me.
what I need to express right now.
Yeah.
And then other people cry when you cry. Other people laugh when you laugh. Other people want to play when you play. And what we were doing in Demons, we're playing. And my writing, it's a form of play and purging.
Yes.
That I'm going to put on the page all the stuff that I can't say. And I didn't know people were going to want to read my inmost secrets. and
Yeah.
say, I feel that way too. And this is exactly the same thing with this underdog horror community. Then
Mhm.
you find out everybody feels the same way. We just shove
Yeah.
it down because we're trying to pretend to fit in and please other people.
I've met so many people recently since doing my podcast, just out in public and having the courage to put on a shirt like this and walk around, and random people come up to me and say, oh, I love your shirt, or I love that movie too. And I have a problem promoting myself because that's not why I do things. My husband's always like, well, he does a horror podcast, you should check it out. My husband's amazing. He made me little cards that have QR codes to go right to the website to listen to the episodes and stuff. But it's nice to connect. And like I said, I do it. I don't call people like fans or anything. They're community, they're friends.
It's a
I connect with
community.
people.
Yeah. And thank God you have him
Yes.
and he has you, because that's also part of it. Right now, there's a world of self-serving, self-promoting, money grubbing, climbing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, People who want to be influencers when they don't have anything to say.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be an influencer if you don't have anything to say.
And people don't want to put in a lot of the work. They don't realize some things that the sacrifices that people make, like the sacrifices that you have made. A lot of times outside people think that things are done so easily, and it's not. There's a lot of behind the scenes.
Is a tremendous amount of discipline that goes into
Yeah.
creating anything,
Hmm.
and a tremendous amount of hard work, because it's craftsmanship.
Yeah.
It's not luck. It's not self-serving. It's not coming from ego thinking, I want to be famous. I want a whole bunch of likes. It's if you share something that's real, you may share something that you thought was funny, and then a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other people think it was funny. You
Hmm.
share something that made you cry, it makes a lot of other people cry. Some magical, crazy, weird thing happened to you. And then you find out that magical, crazy, weird thing happened to people all over the world. And
Yeah.
it's giving them a safe place to come out of the shadows and share. So it's really the same dynamic in the books I write, the work I do, what I'm teaching, which is trust yourself. Stop thinking about the outside looking in. What are they going to think about me? But what do I authentically have to give? How do I make this world a better place? How do I lift you up? How do I say something that's going to empower you today? It's not about me.
Yeah.
Talent's not about you. You channel something bigger than you. You get out of your own way and use your body as an instrument and let something bigger than you channel through you.
Yeah, I agree. It's a wild thing, and I think that even this was, this conversation between the two of us, we have a connection where we have similarities, that we similar mindset, and we would have never met any other way. It was just weird.
Thank you for looking me up. I don't have a whole bunch of conventions scheduled right now. So this next one in Minneapolis is the next one. I'm sure that I will.
Yeah.
I've got some dates coming in. My website is just my name.
Yes.
If people look up ameliakinkade.com, you can go to the online training and see the webinars that I teach. You can see 52 lessons you can listen to on your own. It's called the devotional program. There are also less expensive little things: how to talk to your cat, your dog, your horse, animals in heaven, tune into a photograph, missing animals. And those are really inexpensive, little downloads and lessons, meditations I've put up on the store page. And then on the Angela page, that's a work in progress, because I'm still loading tattoo pictures. And I'm encouraging fans to get in touch also with their artwork. The amount of original artwork, I mean, the one that I just printed out that I'm going to be selling at the next con is this. And it's good,
That's
great.
good.
I mean, I'm so honored that artists are depicting me and putting their own spin on things.
Yes, it's amazing. Like, and that's beautifully
Amazing.
done.
yeah, but there's also this kind of world of pop art that's coming out that they're making almost cutesy cartoon pinup versions
Yeah.
in possession makeup. So they're
Yeah.
blending it all together,
Yeah.
glamorous and possessed at the same time.
But
Wow.
yeah, it's
It's so
it's
cool.
expression. It's got to be so honoring and flattering to. Did it take a while? Like, when did you? Before we go, last question I think I have is, when did you realize that demons became something bigger than you ever anticipated?
A fan dragged me out to the conventions, and it was an artist, and he had sculpted a really high-end, gorgeous sculpture of Angela.
Oh,
And he
wow.
said, "You have fans out there." I said, "No, I don't. That's ridiculous." He said, "You have fans out there." I said, "I don't have fans out there." These little movies I made years ago. No one's ever seen these movies. He said, "Oh no, they watch them every Halloween. You have fans out there." And so he dragged me out to one of the conventions. And one of them, I think, I was in one of these massive ones. For 7 hours, I couldn't move.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't move. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't get anything to eat. I'd have lines for 7 straight hours.
Wow.
And I realized, oh my God, what is it? And that's why I keep questioning it. What is it about these movies that got under people's skin?
And everyone's story is probably different.
The similarity, and I'm going to say this as my final point here. When I ask the fans, why on earth do you love this character so much? Because they'll come in with Angela shoes and Angela purses and Angela earrings and Angela printed ribbons and their t-shirts and their artwork, and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. They'll say, "You protected me as a child." Now, there are other movies like Silence of the Lambs where you want that villain to get away. We don't want him to get caught. We
Yeah.
don't care whose liver he just ate with a nice bottle of Chianti. We're on his side. And no,
Yes.
how Hannibal Lecter got us to love him, who knows? Anthony Hopkins also has my birthday. We're born on New
Oh,
Year's
nice.
Eve.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
And he's the most lovable character in the movies. Who knows why? But the fact that I'm the terrifying villain, and rather than the fans turning it so that I'm attacking them, I'm scaring them, somehow they got it in their mind that I'm protecting them, that
Yeah.
I'm the queen of the underdogs, I'm the queen of revenge, I'm the queen of righteous indignation, because the people that I kill deserve to die.
Yeah.
They
And they're all
do.
intruding on your in your house.
Well, they were rude and, inconsiderate and condescending and mean, and they're bullies.
Yeah.
And I kick their asses.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is. And in the animal work, it's the same way.
Yeah.
It's
Completely.
exactly the same way. I'll go down there and it said, and they'll say, "Well, if the poachers know you're here, they're going to kill you. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring it on, man." Because
Um,
no one's coming between me and this pangolin, or me and this cheetah, or me and this elephant. It's not.
yeah.
And so there's also, you've got to really, really dig your heels in and stand up for what you believe in.
Yes. I agree.
And now's the time to do it, because now we're getting support that we didn't have as children.
Yep. We
And
are.
what the tide is turning so that we become what's cool.
Yes.
And in time, we're going to become the majority. Because
I
what we
agree.
know about all those old haters and exploiters, they're all going to die.
Yep.
And the next generation of children will have more and better education about their soul and their art and their feelings and their value
Yep.
than we did. And we want to be the templates to support those kids.
Yes. Yep. So I will end it here with us. I really want to say thank you so much for answering my email and doing this with me. This is
Fine.
really a dream come true. I never would have imagined 30 years ago that that little boy would be sitting there talking to his favorite demon on a Zoom call.
I never imagined that little girl would grow up to be a demon and get to do podcasts for wonderful people like you.
Thank you so much. And this episode is on my wedding anniversary, October 2nd. So 1 year. So this is exciting. So is
Congratulations.
there anything last for our listeners? Like we said, we sent everyone to your website. Anything last before I end the show that you want to tell people about?
I think that the website, I'm still crafting it, but there's something there for everybody. So if they get on there, they're going to be able to find things. And then, of course, I've got Facebook and Instagram platforms. So come see me when you can and buy the books if you can't come to one of the events, and start learning how to trust that. Trust that inner voice, that little voice inside of you that's talking to you all the time. Don't bow down to the bullying of all the evil that's around us. That's my message.
Thank you so much.
Believe in hope, believe in faith, believe in love.
Yeah,
Those things are real. The other things are not.
I agree. And this was an amazing experience. And and for everyone listening, make sure you watch the Night of the Demon films in, October, and channel your Angela. We want pictures. Let's post them all online. Tag me, tag Amelia. We want to see your best versions of Angela and all the other demons. And I always end with saying, stay safe, but always stay spooky.
Stay spooky.